minute is in basketball.
Okay, I'd like to call the Budget Review Committee to order. It's June 16th, 2022. We're in the Aldermatic Chamber and via Zoom, which the meeting link can be found on the agenda and on the city's website. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. If you're participating via Zoom, please state your presence and reason for not attending the meeting in person, and whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting which is required under the right to know law. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman-at-Large Laurie Wilshire.
Here.
Alderman John Sullivan is absent. Alderwoman-at-Large Shoshanna Kelly.
I'm here.
Alderman Ernest Jette.
Here.
Alderman John Cathy is absent. Alderman-at-Large Michael O'Brien is present. Our chairman, Alderman Richard Dowd.
Present. Okay, we have a quorum. I do know that Alderman Sullivan is out of town today, so will not be attending.
Mr. Chair, if I may, also in attendance, we welcome Chief Rourke, Police Chief for the City of Nashua, Karen Smith, Business Manager of the Nashua Police Department, and also in attendance is several police commissioners.
And the assistant.
And the Assistant Chief, excuse me, Chief.
All right. First item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone that wishes to make public comment relative to the items on the agenda this evening? Seeing no one in the chamber and no one online. Communications.
From Kevin Rourke, Police Chief, regarding the Police Department's proposed 2023 proposed budget.
There being no objection, I will accept the communication, place it on file. Unfinished business,
There are none.
new business resolutions,
There is none.
new business ordinances,
There are none.
tabled in committee.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to remove from the table R-22035, which is relative to the adoption of the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget for the City of Nashua General, Enterprise, Special Revenue, and Grant Funds.
Motion on the floor is to remove from the table R-22035. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. This evening, we're going to be having our second to the last review of divisions and departments, which is, tonight is Public Safety, Department number 150, Police Department. Revenue is on page 35 and 239. Appropriations are on page 116. Would those that wish to present to us this evening come up? And introduce yourselves, and when you speak, when we have and questions are asked and things, then please restate your name for the record so the transcriptionists can know who's speaking. If you're looking for the planning board, it's upstairs.
Yeah, use the elevator here. Also, gentlemen, these are directional microphones, so make sure they're closed pretty much in front of you, and if you turn, so, just that.
All right, so would you like to give an overview, Chief?
Sure. Chief Kevin Rourke, National Police. Good evening, and thank you for taking time and meeting with us. I'd like to thank the police commissioners and our business manager, Karen Smith, for all their hard work in preparing this budget. Tonight, we present to you the FY 2023 initial department requested budget of a 3.5 increase over FY 2022. However, considering the uncontrollable current and projected price of electricity and gasoline attributed to 0.8% of the increase, we have removed the utilities from the formula to calculate a realistic raise of 2.7% for analysis purposes. In summary, the increase is attributed to necessary positions, which I'll list in one moment, previously negotiated and approved union contracts, unaffiliated agreements, in-grade promotions, reduction of $140,000 for attrition, recommended utility and gasoline prices, computer replacement schedule increases, hardware, software maintenance schedule increase, broadband increase, a replacement body armor schedule increase, which that is funded 50% usually by a state grant and 50% by us. Educational assistance, training increase, and a federal per diem rate. The 3.5% increase is $834,540, plus the mayor proposed a budget includes changes of $295,061 for the second year of the 6 annual payments for the police body cameras. And also the NPD bottom line budget reduction of $50,000, which brings the total to $1,079,601, which comes up to a 4.6 increase over FY 2022. The budget also includes the 4 new positions, which I spoke about earlier, that we would like. The first one is an attorney, which comes up to $92,500. We currently have 2.5 attorneys at the police department. We do also utilize our captain, lieutenant, sergeant, and a few officers in the legal bureau to help out with the caseload. We currently have a caseload of over 1,800 cases. The caseload is overwhelming, and adding another attorney is long overdue. Just for some comparison, Manchester PD has almost a similar caseload that we have, and they have 9 attorneys that work in the city solicitor's office. So we feel that this position is long overdue and much needed. The second position is a body camera specialist, which we've had the cameras now that we went live in November. We need someone to man that full-time. Right now, we are borrowing another civilian from another position in the building. We need to make this, in our opinion, a full-time position and a position that we need. And speaking to other departments around the country, some departments our size have 2 people, if not more, full-time working this body-worn camera project. So it is highly intense and it is very involved. The third position is a records technician 1, which is $39,452. It's for additional staff needed for training and retirement plan. 2 of our senior civilians that work in the records management division are retiring by the end of the year. So we wanted to get someone in there and train them and get them up to speed, which is very important for our department to move forward. The fourth position is a part-time recruiter. You guys are all aware of the problem around the country. Currently, we're down anywhere from 10 to 12 people right now. We just hired 8 people, so we were down 18. We're thinking outside the box. Instead of doing the bonuses and what you see around the country, we decided that we wanted to go with a part-time recruiter, a civilian, possibly a former police officer that knows the way we work, and to get them out in the community, get them out into colleges, and have them out there recruiting full-time, so our 2 recruiters can stay in the building and do backgrounds and test at a more rapid rate than we can right now. So that would be very beneficial for our police department moving forward. Again, that's $34,991. We also requested to replenish the overtime expendable trust fund in the amount of $100,000. It has been requested through the budget. The ETF account is crucial to the funding of investigative overtime. As you know, recently we've had 3 major cases in the city. We recently had a homicide on Marshall Street, a shooting at a downtown bar, and recently an individual shot off an AK-47 in a neighborhood which hit 2 houses, and thank God no one was hurt. Investigations like that take up a lot of resources, a lot of time. We were very fortunate in these 3 cases where the suspect was apprehended immediately in a short time, very fortunate. And a lot of resources are developed out there to these investigations, and a lot of manpower. So that's why we have the actual trust fund. With this funding set aside, the significant occurrences, the NPD overtime budget can be managed for daily operations. With that overview, with that being said, we are here. Our finance manager, Karen Smith, is on Zoom. We're here to answer any questions you may have on any light items or anything that I've said.
Would you like to introduce your assistant chief?
And the deputy chief, Joe Fay, is right beside me, and he can answer any questions also.
Mr.
All right.
Chairman, if
Yes.
I may, just a little housekeeping by the clerk. I'd like to welcome Alderman Lopez, who has joined us.
I did not speed to get here.
Okay. Questions for the police department budget? Alderman Lopez.
Just regarding the expendable trust for overtime budgeting, like typical expendable trust funds, if that doesn't get expended, then it is returned to the city budget?
Karen, do you want to answer that?
Yes, no, that is a revolving account, and the funding would stay in the account.
Okay, so my understanding then is that if we put the money in there, then we can pay officers to do the investigations and get the convictions and intervention, but if they don't need it, then,
It's much like the one for snow removal. If, you know, if we don't have a big year of snow, it stays in there for the years that we get swamped with snow. So this is continually usable until it runs low, and then we have to replenish it.
and
Well,
just as a follow-up to your analogy though, is it low?
Right now, it's low, yeah.
Okay,
Karen, if I'm not wrong, we're at 0, right?
Correct, Karen Smith, there's maybe $100 in there. We expended in July or August, $70,000 of a $100,000 funded account. So depending on the year and the situation, it goes pretty quick. So here we are in June, and we're having activity, and we're not able to use the expendable trust fund for a homicide investigation. We're using regular budget operational overtime account to fund. Fortunately, as the chief mentioned, the June activity was relatively quickly solved, and the cost factor was $22,000 for 1 week. Significant, but not as significant as the July activity.
Ms. Smith, I believe the mayor put $100,000 in the budget to be put in that expendable trust.
That is correct. It has been funded this for the FY23 in the current proposed budget.
Just want to make that clear for everyone so they know we're not leaving you hanging out there. Alderman O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I see that you want to put an additional position in, which is somebody with the body cameras. And for somebody that doesn't really know, this is actually part of a legal recording that could be used in court. It's protection both for the officer and for the person that's interacting with the police department. You know, as a camera would do, give you real-time footage of how, you know, the situation is. So to me, it's kind of, but would you like to just expand on that? Why having this person to have these cameras fully operational is both a safety issue, a legal issue, and assist within the court system?
Yes, there's a lot to it. Just one case that we had a right to know request. It's not even speaking of the court cases, but there's a lot of redaction. So you have to watch this thing second by second, and there's state laws and provisions that we have to redact certain things from it. So someone has to manually watch the video to redact the footage. So it takes a lot of time, and you have to be pretty proficient at it.
And all the excuse me, all the positions you mentioned are all in this budget.
Yes, they are, sir.
Okay.
And one other follow-up?
Yes, Alderman O'Brien.
Yeah, you know, coming and talking to my friends, colleagues there in the fire department, they're having the same problem. Do you anticipate having somebody reaching out? Do you think that will really make an impact in recruitment? Because I know it's a phenom. When I got on the fire department, I took the test with several hundred people. That's not happening today, unfortunately, you know.
No, we just recently had a test last Saturday, and we had 50 people sign up, and 21 showed up for the test.
Mm-hmm.
So the recruiting is very hard at this time.
Yeah.
And I will say, we're not lowering our standards. We have the same standards that we had when I got hired and all the way through. So we are not lowering our standard just because we're having a problem. We're gonna hire and recruit the right person, the best person.
Okay. Other questions? Police Department? Oh, Alderman Jette?
Yeah, thank you. So Chief, can you, I'm reading your letter, And could you help me, could you make it clear to me what the difference is between what the mayor has proposed and what you're requesting? I'm not sure, but I think your letter says that what the mayor is proposing would require, in your words, require an unmanageable reduction to the police budget for existing services and personnel. Am I understanding that correctly, and could you explain that?
What part is that, sir?
It's your letter, paragraph 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the third paragraph.
Chairman, could I assist?
Yeah. Did you want to speak? Yes. go ahead.
Yes, Karen Smith. If I could read the letter, it says that the 1.4% represents a $329,584 increase, which would require an unmanageable reduction to the police budget for existing services and personnel. That would be an unmanageable amount. So the amount that was initially asked of us would be unmanageable. The amount that the mayor has proposed with a $50,000 reduction, I'll defer to the chief to speak to.
Chief,
The $50 reduction was his request.
50,000.
50,000, sorry.
I'll go with the
50,
$50.
I'll go with the 50 too.
I think you
50,000
can live with 50.
was his
I will
request.
donate the $50.
Yeah,
That was his request.
yeah.
So could I?
Follow up, Alderman Jette?
So, Ms. Smith, so when you say that the 1.4% represents a $329,584 increase, which would require an unmanageable reduction to the police budget for existing services and personnel. So what is, so I understand that would be unmanageable. So what is manageable? What are you asking for that's different?
Karen Smith, 1.4% is not manageable. 4.6% is manageable.
And that's what the mayor has authorized.
Yes.
Okay, so what, may I continue?
Yes, follow up?
So, okay, so the mayor agrees with you, I guess, and he's increased it to 4.6%. But he's asking, after doing that, he's asking that it be reduced by 50,000? Am I understanding that?
Karen Smith, yes, that is correct. So he did put in the funding for the 295,061 for the body armor. And then he asked to, or he recommended a 50,000 reduction, bottom line reduction. And along with the 140,000 that I had already reduced for attrition, the chief has discussed it and we've agreed that we can manage that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm sorry it's so difficult for me to get this. So what the mayor is proposing, including the $50,000 reduction from the bottom line, is okay with you? You can live with that, you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Kelly?
Thank you. And Alderman O'Brien started asking the question I had. It was around the body cameras. I was supportive of putting that through. And I remember when we passed it that last year, there was a lot of talk about that making sure that they're supported and that they're ready to go, that there aren't issues. And the contract at that time had tech support. So I'm just wondering, had you planned on adding someone, or has it, as you've been working through how these work, realizing that you really need a person, making sure these are ready to go?
Yes, so, good question. Last year, around this time, was it right around the budget time? So when we started exploring the body-worn cameras, we then realized we needed someone to man this full-time, because once we dove into this thing, we realized that we need someone full-time, someone that's kind of an expert and understands the whole thing with the redaction, getting the supplies, batteries run out after a couple months, the watches, the battery on those run out, the cameras, they're switching them, so you need someone full-time for the supply, the redaction, and just the updates. There's a lot to the whole program, and at that time, it was just at the time last year when we went to the budget, and I actually spoke to the mayor and said, is there any way we can get someone full-time? And it was literally the night before, I think it was the day before they were passing the final budget, so we decided to take someone internally and move them over to this position, and they've been doing it since we got the cameras, but we did know at that point we were gonna need someone full-time. We just were kind of late to the table to put in for it.
If I could follow up.
Okay, I was just gonna say, as your liaison, I understand there's also sophisticated software involved with these cameras that needs somebody to watch over it as well.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly?
So you had said that a department of the size would oftentimes have two. Is one enough?
Yes, Bill Pease, our accreditation manager, was doing an assessment last year with the police department just outside of Chicago, and I actually sat in on the part where he was questioning about the body-worn cameras, and they were actually a smaller department than us, and they had 2 full-time people working it. So right now, we would have 1 full-time people, but we also have a couple other people in the building that kind of pitch in and help out, that we gave a little bit more training to, and they were pitching in and helping out. And we're managing fine, and 1 person we think right now is sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Other questions? Alderman Jette?
Thank you. So before COVID, I noticed that there was a pretty good police presence in the, especially the bicycle police. I don't, I've heard, I haven't, with COVID, I've been at home with everyone else, so I haven't really noticed. But I've heard people complain, like, for example, I've had complaints about Mine Falls Park. There was a perception, I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a perception that that there wasn't much of a police presence. People were complaining about not seeing police as much. The leash law for dogs not being enforced. Different complaints of that nature. So, from your point of view, do you feel that that you're able to cover places like Mine Falls Park or downtown? Is the bicycle, group back and up and running, or back and pedaling, I should say?
Yes, we just started. Deputy Fay runs the uniform division. We actually have 2 people out on Main Street. We have our Sector 1, which is, right across from Dunkin' Donuts there, the little shack there, that we have an officer there on first shift and second shift. They are on the bike, so they're going through Mines Falls, they're on Main Street. We also just added for summer hours a Sector 3, which is on Main Street, so we have 2 officers out there up and down Main Street during the summer hours, first and second shift. So we have increased it.
Okay, may I continue?
Follow up?
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. The other thing that that people complain to me about is the noise emanating from motorcycles and people playing music from their cars. It kind of reverberates in the canyon of Main Street. I think there was a time, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where you were able to put a special patrol out there to try to teach people not to do that, not, to be more mindful of the ordinance against loud noises. Where does that stand? Are you able to do that
So
again?
if you walk out on Main Street right now, you're probably gonna see 6 to 8 officers enforcing those laws right now. So once a week, we will put our pop unit and our traffic unit out there. We try to hit it early in the season with heavy enforcement to get the message out there. So for the past several weeks, we've put 6 or 8 officers out there. If you go out there tonight, there's 6 or 8 officers out there. Like I said, we've increased patrols. We've added the Sector 3, which is a sector on Main Street, and try to deter the loud music, because the last thing we want is hear complaints that people out to dinner, a nice dinner at one of the restaurants, sitting outside and hear the motorcycles go by and the loud stereo. So we have been out there the last several weeks enforcing it, and they're out there right now.
Good, that's good to hear. Thank you.
And Alderman Wilshire first.
I don't have a question on your budget, but I
Go
was out
closer to
there,
the mic.
I was out there at 5 o'clock and I saw at least 2 officers, so thank you for that.
Yes, our pop unit's out there along with our traffic unit and probably a supervisor or 2, so there's plenty of them out there tonight. And we, like I said, we've tried to get out there early to get the message out, so,
They were on bikes, so
yes.
that's good. Thank you.
Alderman Lopez.
Just out of curiosity, is the audio on the body cams good enough to pick up, like when a car's going by? Cause I know it's a little hard to be like, hey, stop that when they're like driving by, but you know, being able to tell exactly how audible the sound is and being able to get the plate number feels like.
Yeah, it's pretty sensitive. So if the camera is on, if someone's just standing there, they're not gonna have their camera on.
Oh, okay.
But if they put their camera on, yeah, you'd probably hear it. It's pretty sensitive. And the quality is very, very good.
Just
So,
wondering what the capability, thanks.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yeah, to Alderman Jette, I served 11 years on the State Transportation Committee. We wrote many laws regarding noise, and it comes down to what is noise. And until, I think in the example of Hampton Beach, I know they're able to pull over motorcycles and to test, and it's a never-ending battle between the biker clan. They want to have stronger pipes because they feel that that's a defensive mechanism, that they won't get, sideswiped on the highway. But unfortunately, it is noise. They're not spec'd by the manufacturer. It's aftermarket pieces, and they're not supposed to get an inspection sticker. So also equal to blame is the inspection people. They should recertify these bikes by the law, that if they come in with aftermarket pipes, they should not receive, an inspection sticker. But what I really want to comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in my Miranda rings of Main Street, Chief, to going back, you did make a promise to us when we were hearing on the barriers, and you said that there was going to be more police to assist and everything else like that. Well, can you imagine my pleasure to see an officer walking the beat down on Main Street? He stopped within the avenue that I hang out, Castro Cigars, and talked to the gentleman there and continued on his way. And I'll tell you, that to me is the ultimate form of, community policeman, to engage, meet the business owners, the citizens and stuff like that. So I thank you for working with us, the infrastructure committee, on the barriers and everything, and holding your word that to keep, a presence on Main Street. It has, from what I've seen, made a difference, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, we've received a lot of positive feedback so far, so it's good to hear.
Any other questions? Just a couple things. Are you satisfied with your surf request? I think you have 2 motorcycles and, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 cruisers in surf?
Yes, that sounds.
7 or so.
So, do you have the motorcycles out being used now?
I don't think they've come in yet. They're not.
Deputy Fay, the ones that are gonna be appropriated for the next fiscal year, they'll probably take about 8 to 10 months to show up. That's the pattern we've been seeing recently. The motorcycles that we currently have in inventory have only been used for the most part for like parade and memorial type events so far.
Okay.
Most of our traffic enforcement efforts, just for, if that wasn't clear in the chief's message a few minutes ago. We, with the return of traffic patterns coming out of COVID, with the return of traffic patterns kind of returning to normal, the traffic complaints and traffic issues related to speeding motor vehicles, disorderly motor vehicles have also increased. So as a result of that, we did reallocate some personnel to reconstitute our traffic enforcement unit. So that's another unit, two-person unit that you will also see out on the Main Street area, specifically dealing with the issues that you mentioned in regards to rapid acceleration of motorcycles, screeching tires and so forth. So instead of using usually the state law on that one, we are fortunate enough to actually have the Board of Aldermen and the city pass an ordinance about 10, 15 years ago. I believe maybe Alderwoman Wilshire worked on that one for us that addressed that specific activity in particular with the motorcycles doing the rapid acceleration, blowing out everybody's eardrums and whatnot. So it's been a very effective tool for us. It fills in the gaps where the state statutes were not allowing for that. So yeah, we are hitting it on all angles, foot patrols, with the mountain bikes because they're a little bit more mobile, and then also with the traffic enforcement unit.
Okay. Has there been any further activity with the Officer Graziano memorial?
A letter was sent to the ward alderman, the last I checked in on that, and that effort to rename that traffic circle or name that traffic circle is still in progress.
Okay, I thought the last thing we had was to reach out to Revere College since they maintain that, but the mayor and everybody was in favor of doing that, so anything we can do to help.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman Jette?
Yeah, since you brought up surf, Alderwoman Kelly and I just came from an Environment and Energy Committee meeting, so she's probably thinking it, although she hasn't said it yet, but when you're looking at buying vehicles in the future, are you considering electric vehicles?
We have the hybrid vehicles coming next year.
Follow up?
Hybrid, not all electric?
No, just the hybrid vehicles.
I'll stop.
Kelly?
If I could take his follow-on, for the hybrid vehicles, are you looking at replacing anything that comes through the fleet, or is it just certain ones that you're looking at?
Just the ones that are on the schedule.
So any police cruiser that comes through, you'll
Yes.
make it hybrid?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like, we're only doing the, I don't know.
Patrol
I-
vehicles?
The
no.
patrol or
No.
the SWAT, I don't know if they make a SWAT that's hybrid yet, but, okay, good, thank you.
He's fine with that.
Deputy Fay. So the marked vehicles will be hybrid. All the newest marked vehicles or replacement marked vehicles that are being ordered in the upcoming fiscal year will be the hybrid vehicles as well as the unmarked vehicles. In terms of going straight electric, I just don't know that the technology is quite there yet for a public safety vehicle, at least in the manner that we use them, in the sense that you just have to keep in mind that we use them 24 hours a day. So there are those issues with the cars being down for recharging and whatnot. So we may have to watch and wait a little bit longer in regards to that and see how maybe other agencies that are delving into those waters make out, so that we don't end up having to order, 3 times our fleet right now and rotating out vehicles because of that downtime that's required for charging.
Thank you.
Follow up, Alderman Kelly?
Yeah, just a comment, and this is something that I said when we were talking about CERC before too, is I think we have to think about what does that infrastructure look like when you get there, right? Because you're gonna have to physically plug in these cars and someone's gonna have to swap out. So just something that I'm continually talking about is like, all right, well, we're gonna get the cars eventually, it's probably gonna go there, but then what's the infrastructure that's gotta go along with it? The garage is gonna look a lot different.
You get the one with the key charger.
Have you
Perfect.
taken into account the charging stations that you'll need for those vehicles? Is that in the budget?
No.
No. We had a long conversation today about charging stations at the new DPW building.
Yeah, they could go to the DPW.
Yeah, you
We
go
could put
DPW.
another 12 in for you. Who's gonna pay though?
Yeah. So anyway, that's good that we're moving in that direction. We've had a lot of conversations lately about energy savings and environment.
I don't
Yes.
know who makes it a topic.
Any other questions?
just one on the, if I may, Mr.
Alderman
Chairman.
O'Brien.
We, on the motorcycle, I hate to go back and revisit it, but we don't have the pipe reader, you know, that you can get in the decimeter that could, you know, I know Hampton works with the state. The state's very influential because it's a state beach and, you know, that's stripped there, but I know we're different with Main Street, but has that been on the radar with the National Police, particularly with the outdoor dining? For somebody question where you could, you know, get the decimeter out and say, yeah, buddy, you're a little loud, you know?
We did call state police down and use their machine, last summer, and you'd be surprised, you think a motorcycle is at that limit, and with the echoing off our buildings, it sounds a lot louder than the reading.
Yeah.
So a lot of these motorcycles, from what I was told, they thought they were gonna be over the limit, and once they put the meter on it, they were actually below it, so. It's a lot of echoing off the buildings that sounds a lot louder than
I
it
can
was.
see, yeah.
So that the buildings aren't helping. It's-
So the point is, if I may follow
Yes,
up,
follow
Mr.
up.
Chairman, it doesn't behoove us at this particular time to look into any purchasing of such a decimeter on our own then.
Yeah, we can look into it, we'll look into it.
Deputy Fay here. In addition to the, you know, the decibel limits for the law, they are also required to have baffles. So if there's no baffles within the exhaust system, that is citable using the state RSAs. But again, the issue we seem to have, and is anyone that's been downtown, or especially if you're outdoor dining knows, it's more when the rapid acceleration happens.
This is true.
And that's where that ordinance is really key for us for enforcing that.
We were outside earlier, there's some cars that need to be checked. All right, any other questions? No? Thank you very much for coming in
Thank you.
and keep up the good work. I know you guys have been really busy lately by all the messages I keep getting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen. Feel better.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank you.
Okay. So, entertain a motion by Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make the motion to table R-22-035, which is relative to the adoption of fiscal year 2023 proposed budget for the City of Nashua General Enterprise and Special Revenue and Grant Funds.
All right, the motion on the floor is to table R-22-035. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will now, it's not on the agenda, but we always have public comment. There's nobody here, and I don't see anybody online, so no public comment. General discussion?
If I may,
Alderman O'Brien?
I think Alderman Jette is correct, you know, with the loudness of the motorcycles. I'm glad the chief is willing to look into maybe the decimeter. I don't know if that is the solution or not, but like I say, noise is noise, but is it actual legalness? So I'm glad they're open-minded to that.
Yeah, I think we'll find out it's kind of an expensive piece of equipment.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised, Mr. Chairman.
Woman Kelly?
Just to think out loud for a second, I wonder if there are alternate ways, if it's bouncing off of buildings, like if there were more trees, or like, is there a way to like
I miss the trees.
We
do
have
something environmentally that might help?
We could do sound abatement on the sides of the walls.
If you put something on your walls, you have less, you know, so I don't think of the same
We
thing.
could
would
add foam
apply.
to the barriers.
Yeah.
Literally turn it into.
Alderman Jette, bingo, very good, very good.
Yeah, I can tell you that noise abatement in gymnasiums for the school projects is not cheap.
Yeah.
All right. Any other, general discussion, any remarks by Alderman? Seeing none. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:39.
I
Thank you,
gotta tell
everyone.
you, the fire department beat the police department in their budget by